Hi there, I'm Rebecca and a really warm welcome back to my channel, PumpkinBecki. In this week's video, we're playing with my carnivorous plant collection. Let's get started. It's a beautiful April day here today. It is grey and drizzly, but it's a perfect day to be here in the greenhouse looking at my carnivorous plant collection. We're going to have a little look at how they've come through winter and how they are starting to come into full life for spring. And we are going to be potting up one or two new little beasties. Let's get started. Now I've done that bit, let's carry on. Here's my pot of Drosera filaformis, and you can see, hopefully, that it is getting a head start on things. It is trapping flies already. I love seeing the tendrils unfurl, they're like ferns. This is Drosera binata dichotoma giant, and it's already putting up some beautiful carnivorous leaves. It's been catching some little tiny flies over here. This is Drosera hybrida, and you can see there that they are just starting to come out of dormancy. I haven't cleaned out mosses and things from the tops of the plants, and that's mostly because if they set seed last year, they've probably done it into this moss layer. If I go and clear that out, I might lose some seedlings. So for the moment, I've left them where they are, and in fact, I think I can just sort of see some little tiny plants coming up. Here's a little group of spatulata that I put together, and as you can see, what I did was I cut down the seed heads and I just laid them on the surface, and my hope is that any that were viable have just gone onto the moss, and they should so. Spatulata is incredibly prolific. I find it coming up everywhere, but it's so cute. I love it. This year I think I'm going to invest in one or two pygmy Drosera, pygmy sundew, because they're just adorable. I've been looking at them for about the last 3 years. And I think I know which one I want, but there are so many different varieties. This is Sarracenia purpurea venosa. It's putting up some lovely new traps. So I can go ahead and get rid of some of the really old ones now that I didn't take off in winter. And that's just going to allow light and air to circulate around the clump. This is Dionea muscipula, so it's a variety of Venus flytrap. I picked it up late last year. I think it was reduced, wasn't looking in the best of shape, so I potted it up, but into just a normal flower pot, and I think now it's starting to put on some nice growth. I'll pot it up again into one of my terracotta pots. Here's the Venus flytrap that I have had for some years now. It needs some post-winter attention. We've got some very dead traps happening. I'm just going to go through, pick that over, and I think this one deserves to go into a terracotta pot as well. Here we have my two pots of Drosera capensis Alba, and we have a little hitchhiking standard capensis there with the red colouring to the leaves. Cheeky. These are doing really well. Really proud of those. They could do going up into terracotta pots as well. This is Sarracenia leuchophylla, and you can see it's throwing up lots of non-carnivorous leaves. Hopefully that means it is also going to be putting out some flowers maybe this year. It's certainly growing beautifully strong. Look at that. It's a really beautiful clump. I think you need to go up into a pot. There's a lot of things to pot up today. I'm not sure I have that many pots. And we are starting to come out of the bottom. Look at that. Here we have Sarracenia, rubra, qulfensis, yellow river. This is doing so well. It probably needs dividing, but look, it's putting up flower heads. I definitely need to come in and clean out the last of last year's traps. We've got some beautiful new strong ones coming up, so quite safe to do that. Here is Sarracenia farnhamii. Again, looking really smashing. I can now take down some of those big old pictures and let those new young ones grow. Here is my Drosera capensis, my little red one. Smashing. Such an amazing fly killing device. It's trapping already, really dewed up beautifully. Oh, I love them. They are a work of art. I keep meaning to go to our local sort of heathland and look at the ones that we've got growing wild. Maybe I'll do that on one of my videos. And this is my purchased pot of spatulata, which mostly looks like moss. I've got a few plants there, but that might need some attention a bit later on. Again, I won't do anything with this in terms of removing moss because there could well be seedlings growing in there. And here is one of my fabulously labelled Sarracenia, which is probably one of the Sarracenia rubra family. Doing beautifully, got lots of lovely new leaves starting to come. So again, I can get in and clean this out. And look, 3 flower heads. Amazing. I will show you these when they come out because they are something quite special. And the last thing to show you is this little community bowl that I planted up last year. It's got Sarracenia farnhamii in it. It's got some capensis. It's got some capensis Alba. It's got some spatulata. And I did dig out a couple of capensis Alba, which I put into a terrarium for the living room. So it's got a bit of a hole, but maybe I can do something about that today. You can see that my trays are now partly filled with water. I started doing that about a month ago, sort of gradually increasing the amount of water and letting it stay in water for longer. Previously over winter I was giving it a little bit of water and then letting the trays dry out a little bit and then adding some more water in. But this time of year I'm starting to keep that water more consistently in the trays for them. This is a really important job to do, and it's lovely to just spend time with your plants in detail. You now know that I very much enjoy bonsai. I've posted my first video about that. And working on this level of detail makes me feel very much like I do when I'm working with bonsai. I like to keep my carnivorous plants up on the top shelf of my greenhouse. They really thrive in that full sun. And so long as I keep that water topped up, they're really happy up there. Okay, here's Yellow River. And all I need to do here is come in and clip out that dead growth carefully. Now we're going to come in and do the same thing on my farnhamii. That probably sounds really cruel, and when you've got pictures like this that are looking so gorgeous, it just seems criminal. But we need to make space. I get a little spatula. Oh no, you're a capensis. What are you doing there? Got a spatulata there. I'll leave these two big traps on. They're quite youngish. I think they put them on really late last year, and we've got nice new strong ones coming through, so I think that's probably enough for this farnhamii. This is my Sarracenia. God, I hate it when garden centres do that. I know that real collectors are probably going to go to nurseries and look for carnivorous plants of named varieties, if that's what they want to do. But gee, I mean, it doesn't take a second just to print a label with the right name on it, does it? They are getting better, in fairness. I think garden centres are realising that if they want to spark people's interest in things, they need to give them more information. Otherwise you just get people buying things, taking them home, letting them die because they don't know what to do with them, and they probably don't buy them again because they think they're a waste of money. But if you provide a little bit more horticultural information about plants, you stand a chance of piquing people's interest in them, and then you spark a hobby, and then before you know it, you've got a repeat customer who isn't just coming back to replace a plant they've killed, but they're coming back to try and expand their collection. And then they want more interesting things that you can charge a bit more money for. And so the process goes. And these little babies have repaid me over and over and over again for my initial investment in them, because of the wonderful job they do of pest control in the greenhouse. There's no chemicals, it's just these little babies doing their job. I've been stockpiling a little collection of my favourite terracotta pots for carnivorous plants. These are absolutely perfect. They're not too deep, but they give a lovely wide space at the top for the plant. I like to use these smaller ones, which are 69p at the moment, from Dobby's Garden Centre, for smaller plants, smaller, like the Dionea. And then I have these larger ones, which are £1.69 each. And these are great for the Sarracenia. You can get lots of really good development across this space, but again, you're not wasting tons of compost that just won't be used by the plant. So let's start off with leuchophylla. Leuchophylla is growing in a pot that is quite a bit narrower than this one, but we do have roots coming out the bottom, so I think I'm going to be kind to it and I'm going to let it have this bigger version. It's not far off the right height, so let's depot you and see what you're doing. Some lovely roots there. Whee! Don't worry, they're still hanging on. I hear you, you're sitting there going, oh, but she's just broken all those roots off. No, it's fine. The compost I use for my carnivorous plants is one of the ones by the wonderful company eCoco, based here in the UK. They produce amazing peat-free alternatives, and to find a peat-free alternative that carnivorous plants thrive in, they're not surviving, they are thriving. It's been such a relief for me, because I want to be as peat-free as I possibly can, and I've spoken about this before. I felt slightly justified using a peat-based compost for carnivorous plants because that is their natural habitat. But proof is in the pudding. These babies really love the eCoco compost. eCoco don't pay me to talk about their product. I talk about it because I use it, my plants love it, and therefore I love it. I am going to be going to meet them very soon, in fact in about a month's time, which is so exciting. I can't wait to meet Dan and his team, and I'm travelling quite a long way to do it, so I must really want to see them. Right, leuchophylla. Planted. And that will soak up the moisture really quickly. Do not worry. And it's nice to leave the crown of the plant slightly domed above the edge. You're not going to be watering these plants, they're going to be sucking it all up from underneath, but just from a display point of view, it's nice to have that sort of domed look. So it turns out that both my Dionea are Dionea muscipula, which is the sort of common original cultivar. Let's actually investigate what's going on in this pot. It certainly looks like there are several clumps. Wow! Yes! Look at that! I wasn't expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting that. So, that suggests to me I can break this apart. Oh, yes. Come on then. Perfect little plants. Put that to one side. Come on then. Yes. Oh, you can see where older clumps have deteriorated. So this is just like any perennial, really. You need to take out the dead stuff in order for it to continue to thrive. It's so cool. So many plants. So let's start to bring in my little plants now. I'm going to pick off any dead bits. start to sink them into the compost. And I'm going to make sure they're planted quite deeply because they were very deep in that pot. Almost in a way that the leaves just laid across the soil surface. Oh, so tiny. So I'm just going around spacing these plants out around my bowl. And hopefully, by dividing and giving them more space and some refreshed compost, they will actually thrive even more this year. They did so well last year, but they may thrive even better. Let's go down. I'm literally making new plants here. It's brilliant. Now, I don't want to defeat the object of this replanting by cramming all those little plants back into one pot. I think what I might do is I might put one more in, and then anything that's left over I'll put into the other pot. I'll let that soil settle, and then I can always come back and add some more compost if it looks like it needs it. I'm going to have a little look at the crown of this one because I did notice there was a little bit of mould going on. Maybe that's an old crown rotting off. Let's see. Okay, a new tiny baby crown happening. I'll need to keep a close eye on these newly planted pots because they will soak up a lot of water. So I need to just keep an eye on the tray and make sure that there is always water available for these. Imagine this is an enormously stressful process for them. They will thank me for it later, but initially this is a difficult time for them. So now I have two lovely planters full of Venus flytrap, all taken from two quite modest pots. Just going to add on some of the mossy compost that I took out of the original planters. That helps create a really lovely, friendly ecosystem for them. So I think I now need to divide up these capensis. Yeah, maybe I'll just divide them up in these. I've got a slightly older small pot and a new one. You have to be a little bit more thoughtful when you're repotting sundews because obviously they are sticky. They are also incredibly resilient. I've just peeled the moss off the top surface. I am not throwing that away because I want it. And I'm just going to sort of put my thumbs into this clump and see if it will divide. With a slightly sort of teasing pull action, just try and release all the plants. So I'll get this one settled in first, and I will slightly space out the clumps. Okay, I'm getting compost everywhere, but as we have seen before, I can water these on the top. They will dew back up in no time. It just looks like a disaster right now. Put a rose on my watering can, and I am just going to water these ones from above. It still looks like a disaster, but it will be okay. It's always absolutely fascinating repotting, tending these amazing plants. They live such intense little lives. There's always something new to see with them. I'd love to know if I've inspired you to keep carnivorous plants. They really aren't that difficult. You can pick them up incredibly cheaply, and they're just eternally fascinating. And they are awesome, chemical-free bug killers. I mean, who doesn't want that in their greenhouse? They're just so awesome. Right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to rate, share and subscribe to me here on YouTube. Stay tuned for the midweek video, which is my plant of the week. If you have suggestions for a plant of the week, then please leave them in the comments. And until next time, bye!